Hello, everyone, and welcome to part 2 of reviewing every single WrestleMania main event. Today we are on WrestleMania 2, as the name implies. So, the main event of this WrestleMania is Hulk Hogan facing off against King Kong Bundy in a steel cage match. Generally, you'd assume Hogan to be in this as a WrestleMania main event, and Bundy not really. He's not talked about that much, but at the time, WrestleMania wasn't as big of a deal. So, for the first couple years like this, you might see some, I guess, lesser known names taking part in the main events. I have not watched this match yet, so I'm just giving you this preface before I've even seen it. It is morning, as you can tell. I recorded the last one last night, and I will be uploading that today as well. Make sure you watch both that and this, but I'm going to watch the match now and cut to myself after having seen the bout. So, just finished watching the match. This match is definitely better than the WrestleMania 1 main event. I did prefer this bout because this bout has booking in it. It has a cohesive story somewhat, and I can understand actual pieces of the match rather than just incessant fighting. So let's get into the pre-match antics because there are quite a few for this. So Hogan storyline is entering the match with an injured lower back, which happened about 5 weeks ago after King Kong Bundy attacked him at what seems to be some sort of live show. So Hogan is in his personal gym and he's kind of stretching his back. He's working it out before what is to be a hefty match in a steel cage. And he's there with a doctor, which is good. And he's also there with another wrestler. Let's see if you can take a good guess as to who this person is. I'll give you a second. Got your answer? Well, you probably guessed completely wrong because it's Hillbilly Jim, of all people. Yes. I don't know why he's there, but he decided, sure, I'll help out. He adds literally nothing to the segment and says a total of 3 sentences that you can hear on mic. Why is he there? I don't know. However, Hogan does chin ups, which is cool because he's big, but he also does it with 100 pounds strapped around his neck, so strong. Steroids. Sorry, what? Anyways, so Jesse the Body Ventura is interviewing King Kong Bundy and Bobby the Brain Heenan. Now, normally in a promo like this, they'd probably say a few times, the manager would, that their client is going to win the match. They're going to get the title, and in this case, the World Heavyweight title. So if I were this promo, if I was saying this promo, I'd probably go, King Kong Bundy, add some compliments to King Kong Bundy, some good features about him, and because of that, he will win the World Heavyweight title. But instead of doing that, instead of, pushing their big heel star who will lose the match, but making him look good beforehand, they just say like a robot every time King Kong Bundy will be the new heavyweight champion. And they don't elaborate. They just say Hogan is not good enough, new champ. And that's all they do for this promo, which lasts for like a minute and a half. It's so bad. They cut to commentary, and Elvira, this Elvira, is doing commentary for whatever reason. Why? I have no clue. They mention her like wanting to suck King Kong Bundy's blood later in this match. But listen, I don't know. Jesse Ventura and Alfred Hayes are also doing commentary for this match. So there are 3 special guests for this. The manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers, we're in LA, is doing guest ring announcing, so he announces everybody to the ring. An actor named Ricky Schroeder is the guest timekeeper, and everybody boos him for whatever reason. Ricky Schroeder, if you're wondering, former Golden Globe winner in 1979, and was nominated for another in 1990. And the other guest, the guest referee, is Robert Conrad, a very long-tenured filmmaker, lasting from 1958 until 2002 in film, and from 1959 to 2000 in television. So he did a lot of work. He passed away in 2020 at the age of 84. He gets a mixed reaction. After they come out, the Hogan and Bundy make their entrances. Bundy gets booed. Hogan gets cheered. Shocker, I know. And the match begins. And as they start to brawl, they're fighting in the corner. Elvira says, and I quote, "Just seeing this amount of flesh in one place is totally awesome. I haven't seen this much exposed flesh since I was in Las Vegas." Elvira is a very interesting commentator to add to the mix of this match. So that's really all you need to know about her commentary during this affair. Hogan dominates early, but Bundy starts to mount a comeback in 4 minutes, about 4 minutes in. Bundy gets a pretty solid body slam off, and in the '80s, as I mentioned in the WrestleMania 1 review, a body slam was a pretty big deal. Like, oh, they got the big guy up, body slam, but it gets zero reaction, none. Like you hear, oh, Bundy's got him up, Hogan slammed down to the ground, and the crowd just, oh. That's the level of pop they have for the body slam. But when Hogan does it a little later in the match, they're like, whoa! They're so overjoyed. Now, listen, I know you don't want to cheer the heel in kayfabe, but it's still kind of cool to you because you don't see that very often. Nonetheless, Bundy tries to leave through the door because for some reason you can't have a pinfall in this match. The cage match can end by pinfall, submission, or escape nowadays, but pinfalls and submissions don't count in this version of the cage match. So Bundy goes, he tries to leave through the door. Hogan stops him. Bundy says, "No," throws him off, throws Hogan into the cage, tries to leave again. Hogan stops him again. So the match is pretty repetitive from there on out. It's just that spot over and over again. But there are a few notable things. So Hogan, he has an injured back, as I mentioned. He has tape around it. So Bundy takes off all the tape and just starts garroting Hogan with it. Just, and, takes Hogan out, tries to leave again. Hogan's immediately back up. He's ready to stop him again. And every single time, it's the exact same thing. Hogan finally gets some offense in. He gets Bundy and throws him straight into the cage. And instead of nowadays, where that would just kind of make you, ooh, Bundy not only hits the cage, he hits it head first, like straight in the skull, and blades. Maybe not even blades. It looks like it's a pretty solid gash right here on his face. And he bleeds for the rest of the match, and that's the blood thing I mentioned earlier. Hogan tries to go for the body slam, as I mentioned. But this time, Bundy is too big and makes Hogan collapse because of how big he is. And so from there on out, the match is pretty stereotypical for a Hogan match from the 80s. Bundy gets some offense in now that he's on top. He throws Hogan into the corner and does what is his, I think, finisher. It's called the avalanche. It's basically you run in the corner and do this to your opponent. It happens all the time now in like tag matches. Sometimes in a squash match, a tag team squash match, both the jobbers will get put in the corner, and then one of the big main stars will run at them and squish them in the corner. That move is his finisher. It's called the avalanche. And he does that once, and Hogan goes down. He's very dazed. But Hogan is able to grab that piece of tape from earlier and choke out Bundy and try and survive. Try and make sure Bundy doesn't escape. So Bundy does it again. Bundy throws him into the corner, does the avalanche, boom. But this is Hulk Hogan. That move ain't going to do nothing. He hulks up. He's ready to go. Hogan, very impressively actually, is about to get whipped into the other corner. He's able to reverse it, whip Bundy in that corner, and perform a scoop slam on the much larger Bundy, which obviously gets a huge pop from the crowd because Hogan, at the time, Hogan was, Hogan. From there, it's pretty stereotypical. Hogan, now that Bundy's down on the ground, hits those ropes, does the leg drop. Bundy's out. He can't get up, get out, whatever. Hogan climbs to the top. Bundy tries to stop him, gets pushed off onto the ground. Bundy sees the door, tries to crawl towards it, tries to escape, but Hogan is able to beat him to it and wins the match, retaining his heavyweight title. There's a bit of post-match as well. So Hogan is like going over around the ring to go get his title because he gets out of the ring on the opposite side of his title. So he has to go around to reach it. So he walks around, and between when he lands on the ground and when he gets to the side that has the door, which is where his title is, Bundy's gotten out, and Bobby Heenan has gotten himself in for whatever reason. And he's like trying to slam the door, close it, so Hogan can't get in. Hogan just rips the door open and looks at Heenan, erg. Heenan's like, "Oh, please, please." And Bobby Heenan takes the best bump of this entire match. A manager takes the best bump of this entire match. Hogan picks up Heenan and throws him straight into the cage in a way that we would see nowadays in like a War Games match. Like imagine, Bianca Belair picks up someone smaller like Shotzi and throws her into the cage. It's that kind of bump. But Heenan does it very well for being, a non-wrestler at the time, and it looks devastating. Heenan's able to kind of wiggle his way out of the ring and fall his way down the stairs as Hogan celebrates in the ring, I can't hear you. I'm strong. I can point that way. I can do this with my hands. I can Hulk up again. That's the end of the match. As I said at the beginning in my 20-second small review, this match is easily better than the WrestleMania 1 review, and currently the ranking is 2-1. This match, again, is the first singles match in the WrestleMania main event catalog, but it's not a normal singles match, so that hasn't technically happened yet. However, I think it is better than the main event of WrestleMania 1 because this match is smoother. A, it feels more cohesive. B, it's two guys who know what they're doing, not four. And really three and one guy, Mr. T, who doesn't know that much about wrestling. Because, it's Mr. T. He's not a real wrestler. Cut him some slack. He did do well, no doubt. But he's not a wrestler. Three, there was a story in this match. Because, Bundy had beaten him up before. Bundy was going to target the back of Hogan. Hogan has to overcome the odds. And overall, this match was definitely better than the main event of WrestleMania 1. This match is going to be getting a B minus. No, it doesn't. It's not that good. A C plus from me. C plus is what this gets. It's a pretty solid match. Would not hold up today, but I was slightly entertained by it, so I would say it was all right. Do you agree with me? Have you seen the match before? I recommend you check it out. It's not that bad of a match. And then again, for historical sense, make sure to have a good day, good evening, good night, good morning, good dawn, good dusk, good whatever. Good WrestleMania watching in roughly 1 month, and goodbye.